Welcome all in class 22 on electromagnetic theory. In this class, we will discuss about the propagation of electromagnetic signals in different medium like free space, conductors, insulators or dielectrics. The propagating electromagnetic signal consists of electrical field and magnetic field. It is the wave equation which indicates the strength of electrical field or strength of magnetic field at different locations in the medium. So in this class basically we have to derive this wave equation. We will derive this wave equation first for the free space and then we will derive this wave equation for conducting medium. In order to derive this wave equation, we will make use of Maxwell's equation. So first is wave equation for free space. While deriving wave equation for free space, we need to use some properties of the free space. The properties of the free space are that charges present in free space are zero. That is, charge density rho in free space is equal to 0. Second, the conduction current density J in free space is also equal to 0. So we will use these properties of free space and we will write Maxwell's equations for free space. So by using Gauss theorems in electrostatics and in magnetostatics, we know that by using Gauss law in electrostatics, we know that divergence of D is equal to rho, where D is displacement current density D, which is epsilon naught into electrical field. So by using Gauss law in electrostatics, we have divergence of D is equal to rho. However, for free space, rho is 0. So we have divergence of D is equal to 0. Similarly, by using Gauss law in magnetostatics, we have divergence of B is equal to 0. By using Ampere's law, we have curl of H is equal to J plus curly D upon curly T. However, for free space, J is 0. So we can say that for free space, curl of H is equal to curly D upon curly T. And by using Faraday's law, we know that curl of E is equal to minus curly B upon curly T. Now our basic aim is to calculate the strength of electrical field or magnetic field at various locations in space. So in order to derive this equation, we are just rearranging the equations. Now differentiating equation 3 with respect to time. This was equation 3. So if we differentiate it with respect to time on both sides, we have curly upon curly T of curl of H is equal to curly upon curly T of curly D upon curly T. So we can write that it in this form. From here we can conclude that del here is a space operation. It cannot change with time. So we can write this equation as curl of curly H upon curly T is equal to epsilon naught curly square E upon curly T square, where E is the electrical field, because we know that D is equal to epsilon naught into E. Now taking curl of equation 4 on both sides, this is equation 4. So if we take curl of equation 4 on both sides, we can write that curl of E is equal to minus curl of curly B upon curly T. We can also write that B is equal to mu naught H. So mu naught is taken out, and from here we can calculate that curl of E is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2E upon curly T square, because from equation number 5 we can put the value of curly H upon curly T equal to epsilon naught curly 2E upon curly T square. So ultimately we obtain that curl of E is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2E upon curly T square. Now this is just A cross B cross C, which can be expanded as, if it is A cross B cross C, is it is A dot C into B minus A dot B into C. So just expanding it, we obtain that del dot E of del minus del E is equal to epsilon naught mu naught curly 2E upon curly T square. So we already know from the property of free space that del dot E is equal to 0. So ultimately we are left with that del square E is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2E upon curly T square. Now if we take differentiation of equation 4 and take curl of equation 3, in a similar way we can obtain that del square H is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2H upon curly T square. So these equations, that is del square E is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2E upon curly T square, as well as del square H is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2H upon curly T square, are known as wave equations for free space. Now generally E or H are varying harmonically. Harmonically means that E or H generally vary sinusoidally. So if E and H are varying sinusoidally, we can represent this wave equation in some another form. And in order to write it in another form, let us suppose E is varying sinusoidally, and it can be expressed as, let us suppose E is E naught cos omega t. Now cos omega t can be written as another form as, this whole term can be written as real of E naught e raised to power j omega t, because we know e raised to power j theta is cos of theta plus iota sine of theta. So this term can be taken as real part of E naught e raised to power j omega t. So if I take differentiation with respect to time on each side, I obtain that curly E upon curly T of differentiation on another side, that is differentiation of real of E naught e raised to power j omega t, and which will be that it is real of E naught into e raised to power j omega t multiplied by j omega, and this term is basically E. So curly E upon curly T can be represented by multiplying E by j omega if E field or H field are varying harmonically. So we can also take double differentiation. If I take double differentiation of E with respect to time, it is curly 2E upon curly T square. And the effect of double differentiation will be just to multiply j omega one more time. Because if we take differentiation on another side, E can be written as real part of E naught e raised to power j omega t, and we will take, when we will take its differentiation, it will be multiplied by another j omega. So we can write curly 2e upon curly t square as equal to E into j omega into j omega. So if E and H are varying harmonically, then by using this wave equation and putting the value of curly 2E upon curly T square as E into j omega and j omega, we obtain that del square E is equal to mu naught epsilon naught j omega into E. So which can further be written as del square E is equal to minus mu naught epsilon naught omega square into E. Similarly, for magnetic field, we can write it that del square H is equal to mu naught epsilon naught omega square into H. So this is the representation of wave equations for free space in when E and H are varying harmonically. So up to now we have derived the wave equation for free space. Our next aim is to derive this wave equation for conducting medium. In conducting medium, we can assume that charge density rho is 0. However, the conduction current density J is non-zero. So for conducting medium, we can write Maxwell's equation as del dot B is equal to 0, divergence of D is equal to 0, curl of H is equal to J plus curly D upon curly T. Here J is called conduction current density and curly D upon curly T is called displacement current density. The conduction current density J is related with the conductivity of the conductor and electrical field E. So we can say that curl of H is equal to sigma E plus curly D upon curly T. Again, we know that D is equal to epsilon naught E. So ultimately, we can write that curl of H is equal to mu sigma E plus epsilon naught curly E upon curly T. And from Faraday's law, we obtain that curl of E is equal to minus curly B upon curly T. So differentiating again equation 3 with respect to time, we are taking differentiation of equation 3 with respect to time. We obtain that curl of curly H upon curly T is equal to sigma curly E upon curly T plus epsilon naught curly 2E upon curly T square. Taking curl of equation 4 on both sides, curl of this is equation 4. If we take curl of equation 4 on both sides, we obtain that curl of E is equal to minus curl of curly B upon curly T. B is mu naught into H. So from here it is curl of curly H upon curly T, and from equation 5 we can put the value of curl of curly H upon curly T to be sigma F curly E upon curly T plus epsilon naught curly 2E upon curly T square. Again, by using the expansion of A cross B cross C, we obtain that del square E is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2 E upon curly T square plus mu naught sigma curly E upon curly T. Similarly, if we change the order of differentiation and curl for magnetic field, we can obtain that del square H is equal to mu naught epsilon naught curly 2 H upon curly T square plus mu naught sigma curly H upon curly T. So these equations represents the wave equations for conducting medium. Similarly, if electrical field or magnetic field are varying harmonically, then equation 13 can be rewritten as that we are replacing curly E upon curly T by E multiplied by j omega and curly 2E upon curly T square by multiplying E by j omega and j omega. So ultimately we are going to obtain that del square E is equal to mu naught epsilon naught j omega into E plus mu naught sigma j omega into E, which can be written as that del square E is equal to gamma square into E, where gamma square is mu naught epsilon naught j omega plus mu naught sigma into j omega. So omega here is called the propagation constant and it is the sum of two terms. The first term is called attenuation constant of the wave and second is called phase shift constant of the wave while propagating. Alpha, which is attenuation constant of the wave, represents attenuation per unit distance and phase shift constant represents phase shift per unit distance while electromagnetic wave is propagating. Now we have to derive the wave equation for conducting medium, and in order to derive the wave equation for conducting medium, we should be aware of about the parameters of a good conductors. In order to establish the parameters of a good conductor, we are making use of Ampere's law. Ampere's law in magnetostatics, which states that curl of H is equal to J plus curly D upon curly T, where J is conduction current density which flows through the conductor and curly D upon curly T is displacement current density that flows through a dielectrics like a capacitor. So when expanded, we can write J as sigma into E, where sigma represents the conductivity of the conductor, plus epsilon naught curly E upon curly T. Sigma E here is conduction current density through the conductor and epsilon naught curly E upon curly T represents the displacement current density through dielectrics. So if the electrical field is varying harmonically, then we can write curly E upon curly T by multiplying E by j omega. So this will represent the displacement current density when electrical field is varying harmonically. So it is the ratio of conduction current density divided by the displacement current density which decides whether material is a good conductor or it is a good dielectrics. The ratio Jc upon Jd is given by sigma by epsilon naught omega, where omega is the frequency, because from here we can see that if E was varying harmonically, then E was written as real part of e raised to power j omega, and it was multiplied by omega. So so the discrimination between good conductor and good dielectrics depends upon the dielectric constant of the medium, conductivity of the medium, as well as it also depends upon the operative frequency. It is might possible that at some frequency material behaves as a good conductor, and at some another frequency it behaves as a good dielectrics. So if ratio Jc by Jd is much more than 1, then material is a good conductor. However, if this ratio is less than 1, then material is a good dielectrics. The propagation constant, which we have already derived, can be rewritten as j omega mu naught sigma into 1 plus j omega by sigma. So for a good conductor, the ratio omega by sigma will be much less than 1, as we have discussed by taking ratio Jc by Jd. So for a good conductor, this term will tend nearly to be equal to 0, and the value of sigma can be rewritten as j omega mu naught into sigma. Now this is the value of propagation constant for a good conductor. From this value of propagation constant, we want to find the value of alpha and value of beta, that is the attenuation constant as well as phase shift constant of the wave. So in order to derive alpha and beta from this gamma, we are rearranging this equation. That is, we are dividing and multiplying this equation by 2, and then we are adding 1 and subtracting 1, because this factor can be rewritten as 1 plus j whole square, because it is a plus b square, which is a square plus b square plus 2ab. So b here is j, so j square will become minus of 1. So if we take common 1 plus ij square, it is 1 plus ij. So from here we can derive that the value of phase shift constant as well as attenuation constant for a conductor can be written as square root of omega conductivity mu naught by 2 and root of this. From this expression, it is evident that when wave propagates into the conducting medium, it experiences attenuation depending upon angular frequency, conductivity and permeability of the medium. So this is the expression of attenuation of the wave when electromagnetic wave propagates into the conducting medium, and the attenuation depends upon the operative frequency, conductivity of the medium and permeability of the medium. So as from this fact it is clear that as we go on increasing the conductivity or frequency, the attenuation constant goes on increasing, that is wave will be able to penetrate less distance at higher frequencies or at high conductivity into the conductor. It is observed that amplitude of wave decreases exponentially when wave propagates into the conductor. So because we have already discussed that that when wave enters into the conductor, it experiences attenuation. However, on observations, it has been observed that when electromagnetic waves move into the conductor, the wave decreases exponentially. That is, the magnitude of electromagnetic wave at some distance, at distance z into the conductor, can be obtained by taking the amplitude of the electromagnetic signal at the input of the conductor, which is A naught, and by multiplying it by e raised to power minus alpha z. So from this equation, it is clear that as z increases, that is, as electromagnetic wave enter into the conductor, then z increases, and when z increases, this factor will increase, and ultimately the strength of the signal will decrease. So depth of penetration signifies under this condition. So depth of penetration is defined as the depth at which the amplitude of wave is 1 upon under root e times the maximum value. So when wave enters into the conductor, it will be attenuated. So at the point where the amplitude of the signal reaches 1 upon e of the maximum value, that depth or that length into the conductor is called depth of penetration. At depth of penetration, we can say that the amplitude of the electromagnetic signal has reduced by 1 upon e of its maximum value, and from this expression we can find that at depth of penetration alpha z will be equal to 1, or depth of penetration z is 1 upon alpha. So it was all we want to discuss in this class. Thank you.